Bartali's Bicycle, the true story of Gino Bartali, Italy's secret hero, written by Megan Hoyt, illustrated by Iacopo Bruno. Gino Bartali hopped onto his bicycle and bounced along the cobblestone streets of Florence, Italy. For years, he had pedaled across these crowded piazzas and narrow avenues, but this day was special. Today, Gino was to begin training for his first bicycle race. Elbows in, heads down, face to the wind. Gino pedaled up steep mountains dotted with alpine villages. He traveled down the coast where the sea lapped the land and the sun bronzed his skin. For 8 long years, Gino cycled across Italy, memorizing mountain trails and rugged paths. He won race after race. Soon he earned a shelf full of trophies and a jacket full of first-place ribbons. Then, on a hot July day in 1938, Gino won the biggest race in the world, the Tour de France. His face was on magazine covers, cheering crowds mobbed him. Gino Bartali was an international hero. But Gino said, "No, no, no, heroes are those who have suffered. I am just a cyclist." After Gino won the Tour de France, the world started to change. Strange new ideas began to spread across Italy. Armies marched, generals barked orders. Soon, all of Europe was at war. Tanks belched out thick smoke onto Italy's beautiful cobbled streets. Sirens screeched, bombs fell, and the strange new ideas became even stranger. A powerful leader said people will fall for a big lie more easily than a small one. Then he told a giant lie to the whole world. He said Jewish people were not really human. They must be rounded up and arrested. Gino was shocked at this news. Many of his closest friends were Jewish. They were scientists, builders, artists, and shopkeepers. They were all good people, every one of them. And Gino's friend Giacomo Goldenberg was like a brother to him. Gino refused to believe the lie. Soldiers swarmed into Florence. It seemed the war would never end, but Gino tried to keep training. He pedaled past historic cities with leaning towers and giant domed cathedrals. He pedaled past country villages with quaint cottages and rows of grapevines. Everywhere he went, he saw families who were no longer allowed to live in their homes, work in their shops, or perform in concerts. He saw soldiers push children onto giant trucks while their parents clutched their bellies and cried. This is not right, Gino thought. I must do something to help. One day, Archbishop Elia Dalla Costa summoned Gino to the town cathedral. The archbishop asked him to join a secret network of brave Italians who were helping Jewish families escape. Gino would pick up packets filled with photos and fake identity papers and deliver them to people hiding in cities all across Italy. With new identities, parents could take their children across the mountains into Switzerland or flee to America. Gino was afraid, but he knew this was important, more important than any race he'd ever been in. He decided to help. Some medals are pinned to your soul, not your jacket, he said. Gino rolled up the secret papers and tucked them inside the hollow bars of his bicycle. He knocked on doors and delivered small packages. With a quick nod, he was off again, leaving startled families to wonder. Was that the famous Tour de France winner, Gino Bartali? Was he now a secret courier for the resistance? By the time they realized who he was, Gino was speeding toward the next town. Elbows in, head down, face to the wind. Gino was the fastest cyclist in the world. He could cover 250 miles in a single day, but sometimes it wasn't fast enough. People were packed onto trains and sent away before he could reach them. Gino wanted to do more. Early one morning, he slipped on his racing uniform and rode to the busy train station at Tarantola. He greeted the travelers. He shook hands and signed autographs. He posed for photos. Then he revved them up into a roaring crowd chanting, Gino, Gino, Gino. While the guards were busy managing the crowd, resistance workers secretly ushered Jewish families onto different trains heading south to freedom. Gino's plan was working. But there was no time to celebrate. Through the secret resistance network, Gino discovered that soldiers were searching for his friend Giacomo, and every available hiding place was occupied, except one. Gino hid the Goldenberg family in his cellar. They would have to sleep four to a bed. They could never step outside or feel the warmth of the sun on their faces, but they would be safe. Like all strong young men, Gino was forced into the Italian militia, a soldier fighting for the enemy. How could he do such a thing? Gino met with the leaders of the resistance. We have to be cunning, he said. These are terrible times. The resistant leader said, Gino, put on the uniform and go find where they are hiding their prisoners. Gino knew just where to look. He pedaled back to the rolling hills where he grew up and strolled into the Villa La Selva. Wearing his militia uniform, he left with 49 English soldiers, and no one noticed. With each successful mission, he grew even more daring until one day his secret work almost came to a halt. Gino was pedaling across an Italian piazza when gunshots rang out. Bombs blasted, people ran for shelter, and Gino was thrown from his bicycle. His bicycle, there it was, his secret vault crammed full of life-saving documents bent and broken. Papers jutted out from the frame, the identity papers. Gino had to act fast. He brushed himself off, picked up his bicycle, and ran. When Gino reached Florence, his beloved city was a battle zone. Enemy troops had destroyed every bridge except one. Gino wondered if the war would ever end, but there was something he did not know. By 1944, people all over the world, ordinary folks of all religions, rich and poor, young and old, joined in the fight against these soldiers whose hearts were filled with hate. They too were rescuing Jewish families, and soon the liar was defeated. The war was over. Neighbors sprang from their homes and celebrated in the streets. The Goldenberg family stepped out of the cellar, lifting their faces to the noonday sun. Their hearts soared above the clouds. They were free. Even though Gino saved the lives of more than 800 Jewish people during the war, he kept his story quiet for as long as he lived. Good is something you do, not something you talk about, he said. But the stories trickled out. Children came forward. Grateful families remembered the remarkable Gino Bartali, Tour de France winner, Italian sports hero, international celebrity, and secret champion. Righteous among the nations. Non-Jewish individuals who have been honored at Israel's Holocaust Memorial for risking their lives to aid Jews during the Holocaust. And there you can see Gino Bartali's name. Some medals are pinned to your soul, not your jacket. If you found the story of Bartali's bicycle fascinating, and if you are interested in this time in our world's history, you may want to find some of these books in our library.